Hi everyone, this is Alex from Hosthub. I have Sophia with me, and pretty soon we're gonna have also Troy and Arthur from StayFi. So
Hello,
I see
everyone.
Arthur is already here. Hi Arthur. So there he is. Arthur, would you like to introduce yourself to our attendees?
Yeah, hey everyone. My name's Arthur Colker. I'm the founder and CEO of StayFi and super excited to join HostHub for this webinar today.
Cool stuff. So we've prepared a small poll for you guys. You can probably see it pop up on your screen. If not, look at the buttons at the bottom of Zoom. There should be a button that says polls and quizzes. Click on that and the poll will open up. And you can answer some of the questions that we've prepared just to get a feeling of the audience and how you handle direct bookings and some other statistical questions that might be interesting to look at before we start the webinar and while we're waiting for all of the people that have signed up to join. Um, so the subject of today's webinar is how to attract direct bookings, how to manage them, and what's the best way to build your own website. So the webinar will be split in two main parts. I will start by saying a few things about how to build your own direct booking website, what options you have, and what other ways there are to handle direct bookings. And then Arthur will take over and show you how StayFi can help you attract more direct bookings by utilizing all the guests that have stayed at your properties. So if you'd like, you can also use the chat to tell us where you're from, how many properties you manage, if you already have a direct booking website, what percentage of your bookings are direct bookings. Those questions are also in the poll. And if you have questions for Arthur and me for the end, you can add them in the Q&A option. So there's a small button that says Q&A, click that. And at the end, when we're finished with the presentations, we will go through the questions. If you see the question that you want to ask already written, just upvote that, and so that we don't have duplicate questions. So you can upvote an existing one or just add a new one if it doesn't already exist. And at the end of the webinar, we will go through them and either Arthur or myself will answer those questions. We have people from all over the world today. Let me open the chat window also so that I can see them. Arthur, would you like to say something before we look at the poll results?
No, I'm good to get started whenever you are.
Okay.
Looks like we have some fellow Greeks here, Alexander.
Yeah. Sophia, I can't see the chat window. Is chat enabled? Ah, yeah, here it is. Okay, got it. Yeah, we have some fellow Greeks saying hello, but we do have many dozens of people from all over the world that have already joined. So if you can please share where you're from and just say hi, it would be great. While
And it
we're
looks
still
like we
gathering.
have a really wide range of direct booking percentages from none to more than
Mhm.
20% and pretty evenly split across all of the different groups.
Yeah. So let's just give a couple of more minutes for more people to join. Hi, Mike from California, Arizona. Hi, Brittany. Sophia, can everyone see the results of the poll, or do I have to click something to share those?
No, I already saw them. I think they can see them.
For those that are wondering, this is Sophia, but she's using Alkis's account for the Zoom
Yes.
call. So that's why you see Alkis's name on the bottom, but it's actually Sophia. Okay, so, okay, I see many more hellos. Michigan, Zakynthos. So it's, yeah, mainly Greece and the US today. A nice mix. Let's have a look at the
Just like us.
Yeah, exactly. So let's have a quick look at the poll results. The first question is, what percentage of your bookings come from direct channels? This is pretty split across the various options. So 15% said none, 38% is 0 to 10, 15% 10 to 20, and 31% is 20 plus. The next question is, what do you consider the most important benefit of direct bookings? Most of you answered avoiding platform fees, and it makes sense. It's the most immediate result, but there's more to that. So we'll say a few things about the other benefits in a while. 8% said greater control over guest relationships, and 23% building a strong brand. The third question is, how do you accept direct bookings? Most of you, 60%, said either phone, messages, or email. 40% have their own website, and the other options don't have any votes. Fourth question, how do you promote your direct bookings? Most of you answered social media, and then some of you answered the Google Ads, email marketing, and Google Maps. Number 5, if you don't accept direct bookings, what's the main reason? And almost all of you said, I feel safer using the platforms. And it makes sense. There's always a good reason to use a platform, and there's always a good reason to attract direct bookings. So we'll talk about that in a while. Let me see if I can share the results. Yeah, I can. I did before, so I'll just close that now. And if you'll allow me, I'll just share my screen and jump into my part of the presentation. If that's okay with you, Arthur, I'll just start on. Is that good?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, great. So hopefully you can see my screen. Right, Sophia?
Yes, it's great.
Okay, great.
Yep, all good.
So let's start with the first question, which is, why do we need our own direct booking website? So there's many reasons. The most obvious one, as also shown in your poll answers, is that you avoid the platform fees. So as you probably all know, Airbnb, Vrbo, Booking, all those booking platforms, they charge like something between 15 and 20% of each booking from the host. And this is, of course, an amount that anyone would like to avoid paying. So direct bookings is one way to avoid those fees. Now, my suggestion to our customer is that you should always also have a presence on the platforms, but just because it's a very good way to initially attract a customer. So when you get a booking from Airbnb or Vrbo or Booking.com, the important thing is that if that person books again in the future, he doesn't do it again from a platform. So it's fine to pay 15% to get the customer for the first time from a platform, but from that moment on, the best practice is to have your own way to attract direct bookings and have those people book direct. So the first reason is the 0% booking fees. The second reason that you want your direct booking website is that you can create your own brand. And it's important if you're a professional manager or not, but even more for professional managers, it's important to start building your own brand, because that's the best way for you to grow your business and not grow it on someone else's land. There's a saying that says you never build your house on someone else's land. So it's the same thing here. You want to have control of your brand, control of your customers, control of the experience. And that takes us to the next part, which is controlling the experience. When someone visits Booking, Airbnb or Vrbo or one of the other platforms, you do not have any control over the experience of the user. So what he sees on Airbnb and what he clicks on and where he goes, you have no control over that. Which means, someone might be looking at your listing, and then the platform decides to pop up a small, message that says, if you like this listing, also check out this one. And then he goes to check out another one, and you've lost him. Whereas if the customer visits your website, you control the experience 100%. You control exactly what he sees, when he sees it, what buttons he has access to, what those buttons do. Then the other thing is that you can take control of your marketing. So by having your own direct booking website, you can control how you promote that, where you promote it, who sees it, what types of customers you attract, right? And the last one is that you control the rules. So Those of you that have been in the short-term industry for more than 4 years probably remember the COVID era, where Airbnb decided to just refund every booking back to the guests without asking the hosts. Even the hosts had a strict policy or a strict refund policy or a strict cancellation policy or even an averagely strict, not that the strictest possible. All those cancellation policies were ignored. Airbnb decided to just return and refund all the money to the guests. Now, if those bookings were direct from your own website, you would have control of the cancellation policy and you would be able to enforce your cancellation policy and not be open to whatever decision anyone else makes for you. So controlling the rules is another reason why you need your own direct booking website. Now, what's the most popular way of getting a direct booking? You can see on the left side of this slide, distribution with percentages. 12% of direct bookings are a phone call that someone called you and said, I want to stay in your home. 18% is email, 27% is social media, and 43% of bookings come from your own direct booking website when you have one. So the most popular way of attracting and executing and managing direct bookings is your own website. And that's one of the main reasons why you need to have one. Now, I want to show you what the average user does when they try to book a property. So let's say someone visits Airbnb and they just type the name of the location they want to go to, they type the dates, and they get presented with a set of results. So let's say someone saw the first result, they liked it, they clicked on it, they went to the page of that booking, they're looking at the listing, they're looking at the prices, they're looking at the reviews, and they have decided to book that. What many people do, I don't want to say most, but surely many, very close to 50%, the next thing they do is they mark the name of the property. So this property is called Ampelos Estate. And then they go to Google Maps. They type the name of the property in Google Maps with the hope that they will find either a website or a phone number to call and make a deal for a direct booking that will be cheaper than the price that they saw on Airbnb. So when you type the name on Google Maps, on the left side, you can see the details that the owner or the manager have added on Google Maps. So in this case, there's a website and there's a phone number. So if they visit the website, they will just go to the website of that property, and there they can see the prices for that the direct booking website has, which is usually cheaper than what they would get on Airbnb or Vrbo or the other channels, and they would usually complete the process from your website. And that's one reason why we need to always mention how much cheaper the booking is if you book directly, because that will help you attract more direct bookings. So taking under account that this is the most popular flow, you can understand why it's super important to have your details here in Google Maps and in Google search in general, because you need to offer a way for your potential customers to find you and book direct. So having said that, let's see what our options are to create our own direct booking website. So there's three main ways to do it. The first one is just working with a web design agency that will build us a beautiful website that will most probably also have a direct booking engine inside that will allow our customers, our potential customers, to book directly. This is probably the most expensive option, but will probably yield the most beautiful results. The second option is website as a service. There are various PMSs that offer a booking engine and a website on a monthly subscription basis. So, they import your photos, your amenities, your descriptions, and you just pay like $20, $30, $40 a month, and you have a website that is running. The problem with that is that you lose it if you stop using that PMS. The third option is to build your own website. So I will show you now in the next slide a very easy way for you to build your own booking website without having to ask anyone to do it. It doesn't need coding skills. If you can create your own account on Airbnb or Booking, you can also create your own booking site, and I'll show you how that works. And then there's option X, which I will discuss at the end of the presentation. So what are the pros and cons of each option? If you go with an agency, you get high quality. You don't do anything. You just give them the photos and the content, and they build the site for you. And then they deliver it to you, and it's yours forever. On the cons, it's probably the most expensive option. You can expect anywhere from $3,000-4,000 up to tens of thousands, depending on how large the website is and what option it has. The another con is that it's very easy to work with someone you haven't worked before and realize during your the collaboration that they're not the right fit for you, that you can't communicate very well, the result might not be what you were expecting, and you could end up paying a lot of money for less than what you were expecting. The subscription service, low effort. You don't need to worry about hosting. They do it for you, and it's usually bundled with a PMS. On the disadvantages, you have to pay every month. It's usually something around $30 per month. You don't keep the site if you leave the PMS. So if you want to stop using the property management system, you also lose your website. And the migration is usually a bit tough. If you would decide to leave them and build your own website, the migration might not be that easy. And the third option, which is to build your own website, it's of course the cheapest option. You just spend a few hours to do it. You own the website, it's yours forever. You don't have to, pay anyone to keep it, except the hosting fees, which is like, I don't know, maybe $5 a month. And you have maximum flexibility. You can do whatever you want with the website. On the cons, on the disadvantages, the quality is not guaranteed because you might not be able to do exactly what you want without the help of a professional. There's a steep learning curve, which we have to spend some hours to learn how to do the things that you need to do. However, let me say again, there's no coding required, so it's just time spent reading some manuals, and it's not for everyone. If you're not really tech savvy or if you're afraid of technology, this might not be the best solution for you. So I'll very briefly go through the steps for you to build your own website. I will not get into any details because we have a blog post written that describes all these steps in detail with photos, with screenshots, with videos. And I will give you the link to that page so that you can, look at it at your own time. So the first step, you have to open an account with a hosting provider, which will host the website. You have to get a domain name for your website. You can choose whatever you want. Of course, that also costs maybe $10 a year or $20 a year, something like that. You have to ideally get a managed WordPress hosting plan because you want the hosting provider to manage all the updates and the security updates of your website so that you don't have to care about that. Then you have to get a vacational theme that includes a booking engine so that you can accept bookings and have the calendars and the dates and all that. You have to open a payment processor account so that you can accept credit card payments, or you can just use PayPal. Activate the booking engine, set up your properties, the seasons, rules, rates. Then you add the payment method that the processor account gave you. Add the content to your website if you want to add the extra content, like what to do around the place where the property is and stuff like that. And then the most important part is to make sure that your website synchronizes with the rest of your platforms, Airbnb, Vrbo, whatever, so that you don't get double bookings. Whenever you get a booking from the website, you have to block the dates on your platforms and vice versa. And this is best done by software and not by hand, because if it happens at 3 o'clock at night and you're asleep, it's very easy to get a double booking. So you need channel manager or PMS to synchronize those bookings. This is the link to the guide. We will send you the presentation at the end of this webinar. So you can go directly to this page, click the link, and it will take you to the page, the blog post that describes in detail how to do it. Or you can also just go to Google, search for how to build my own direct booking website, and one of the first results will be this page. So remember a few slides back, I told you about Option X. What is Option X? Option X is Hosthub building your website for you. Very cheap. It's just $800. What we do is we just follow the 10 steps that the guide that we've built has. What we suggest is try to do it on your own. If you complete on your own, that's perfect. That's the best option. If you don't want to, you don't have time, you find it difficult, wherever, we can do it for you. We just follow those 10 steps. We build your website. We give it to you. It's yours forever. and it has direct booking, it has payment processing, it has everything you need to attract direct bookings, and it synchronizes with all your other platforms through Hosthub. So with the Hosthub account, you can also synchronize your direct bookings from your website to your platforms and the vice versa. That was my part of the presentation. You can just keep any questions and add them to the Q&A section of Zoom. And I will just pass over the torch now to Arthur to show us how we can attract more direct bookings to our new, freshly built website. Arthur, the floor is
Yeah,
yours.
no, that was great. And can you see what I just shared?
Yep.
Yeah, so first I'll just give a little intro to StayFi, and then what we're really going to focus on, which is the core part of our service, is how to leverage email marketing to drive those repeat bookings. Because like Alexander said, or Alex said, once you basically pay for a guest or a group of guests to stay with you through booking Airbnb or Vrbo, you don't want to have to pay to have those guests come back, and you want to also increase the chances that they come back and stay with you again. And that's really what StayFi provides for vacation rental operators. I think one key thing to note, like the other advantage and one way to think about direct bookings is it's not just about avoiding platform fees, because while that's fantastic if you get a direct booking and replace a booking that would have come through an OTA, even better is when you get a direct booking for nights that would never have been sold otherwise. And that's one of the real powers of an email marketing list is you can really strategically target your advertising and your marketing to fill nights, to raise your overall occupancy rate, and to sell more nights in advance so that you don't have to either lower rates or leave nights unbooked. So we see folks with a large email list that they're continually marketing to have consistently higher ADRs, average nightly rates, just because they're also selling more nights than they would if they were only depending on OTAs. So StayFi has a few features, and I'm going to talk a lot about email marketing strategy in this presentation. But the first is that we help you collect all guest data. And when I talk about all guest data, that means booker plus non-booking guests. So a lot of times when we talk about guests in the vacation rental context and marketing to guests, people just assume we're only discussing bookers. It's really important that you open your mind to all the other folks that are staying in properties, just because with vacation rentals, unlike hotels, we can have stays with 5, 10, 15, 20 plus guests. And they're all people that we want to introduce our brand to and market to again. Then within StayFi, we have email marketing. I'll talk a lot about that. And then less importantly, we also have some guest engagement tools and Wi-Fi monitoring tools, which are not really going to be discussed in this presentation, but those are also services that we offer. So when it comes to our integration with Hosthub, how does it work and where do we kind of start when you set up a StayFi account? The first thing is we will import all your properties into StayFi, which makes it super easy to get started. We also provide occupancy alerting with Hosthub, which again, I'll talk less about the Wi-Fi features, but essentially if you have more guests than are booked in a property, we'll let you know. And then I think most importantly, what we do is we want to help you get jump started with post-stay email marketing. So you can think about newsletters, basically everything you want to send to guests after they stay with you. We actually go into Hosthub and we take all the data you've ever collected that has real emails and we bring them into our email marketing tool. And you can think of our email marketing tool like a MailChimp built specifically for vacation rentals. So right when you get started with StayFi, you can connect your Hosthub account and you can start marketing to all the past guests who you've collected some real emails from. And then finally, we have some tools that also let you collect more emails from guests that book with you through Hosthub with pre-arrival messaging. And I'll talk a little bit about that later. But essentially, StayFi provides two ways to collect guest data. One is prior to the stay through basically a web form, and the other is through our Wi-Fi service. And I'll talk about both of those because that's really the cornerstone of the start of the strategy is collecting that guest data. There's 4 places where StayFi helps you collect guest data. And like I said before, this is the cornerstone of any direct booking strategy is first you need to collect data before you start marketing to it. So I'll talk more about the different marketing approaches that work really well later. But the first thing is you want to make sure you get a steady stream of guest data and you're collecting as much data as possible that you can market to. The service that StayFi is most well known for is our Wi-Fi marketing service. So essentially, we provide a captive Wi-Fi portal that guests have to log into to get onto the Wi-Fi. Very similar to what you've seen at a Starbucks, a hotel, an airport. Every single guest, whether they're the booker or secondary guest, when they join the Wi-Fi in your property, they have to enter their name, email, phone number to get onto the internet. And on that page, we'll introduce your brand as well. We also offer a pre-arrival guest data collection tool. So essentially, we have a service that will collect some data by sending a form to the booker that they can then share with other guests in their party to have their email. Obviously, that's going to collect less emails than when we do it through the Wi-Fi, but still a great way to collect some guest information without having to use our Wi-Fi service for email marketing purposes. Like I mentioned before, we'll take any data you're collecting already and import that live into StayFi, both historical and ongoing. And the fourth one is you can also use our email marketing tool to put forms or pop-ups on your website. So like Alex showed you, let's say somebody finds your listing on Airbnb, then they put your listing title into Google, then they go to your website. Wouldn't it be great if there was a pop-up right there that said, hey, enter your information to get a local area guide or to get this coupon. So that way, when they leave if they leave your website and continue doing research on Vrbo or Booking, you've captured their email, so you can send them an email right away with a promo code, and even further increase the chance of converting that looker into a booker. And that's why web forms are so great, because we can start collecting emails from the web traffic you're already generating. What's so special about Wi-Fi marketing? Because it's the best way to collect data from the full party of guests. And of course, it also provides a really meaningful touch point to introduce your brand. Because if you have guests book, let's say on Airbnb, they probably don't know about your independent vacation rental brand, that direct booking is even an option. And the secondary guests, so the non-bookers, definitely don't know about your brand. They probably are telling each other, hey, we booked an Airbnb for the stay. We need to start adjusting that mindset right away in the property by providing several branded touch points that educate the guests that you're not just an Airbnb, you're this special brand of vacation rentals, and also establish with them a reason why they want to develop a direct relationship with you for future bookings. And that's why the Wi-Fi splash page is a great way to do that, because it will get your brand in front of everybody. We also validate all the emails collected here, so you know that you're collecting all real emails from all your guests. Then we take the data here and we can actually combine it with the data we see about that booking in Hosthub. So we have a very holistic understanding of who the guest is, what reservation they were a part of, and which enables you to do even better marketing through our email tools. And then finally, like I said before, this is just one of many touch points that StayFi can help with to establish in the mind of every guest that you're not just an Airbnb, that you're a legitimate vacation rental brand. Just if you're curious, this is what the guest journey looks like. When they come to the property, they select the guest network. They see that splash page that's branded with your information. Then they actually get taken to this page that StayFi has that's called the home page. So you can present a bunch of links here to things like to a guidebook to book this property again, to upsells. And I'll talk about the homepage in a second, but it's basically a link tree for your property where you can have all the essential links you want to share with guests. Again, this is so important, because even if, let's say, you have a great digital guidebook, you've probably sent that to the booker in advance of the stay, but we want to get that guidebook in the hands of the 8 other guests, right? And the Wi-Fi login process is a great way to get this essential information in front of everyone else that's staying there, to really reduce the chances that they ask questions, and then also to increase your ability to sell upsells. And then finally, through our marketing tools, you can automate an email, a text to all those guests that just logged into the Wi-Fi, again, sharing this important information with them, whether they're upsells or just property info, to really keep that branded touch point going and making sure everybody, not just the booker, knows who you are and wants to stay with you again in the future. Here's just a little more detail on the homepage, what people are putting there. Again, this is the page that guests are taken to after they log into the Wi-Fi. It's unique for each property. And you can also send a link to this homepage through our text and email tool automatically to the guest after they log in. That way they have it for the whole stay. Things like a guidebook link, a link to book this property again or go to your website. And then we actually have two integrated upsell partners that are totally free to use, the Hostco and Viator, that let you sell your own services as well as sell tours and activities. So for instance, the Hostco, you can sell late checkout. So you could sell late checkout right on the screen here on the right that every guest gets taken to. And then it just informs you if somebody wants late checkout, and then you can approve or deny that request. And that way, using StayFi, you're getting these upsells in front of the whole party, and therefore you're going to sell more of them. And then Viator is the largest tour and activity provider where you'll get an 8% commission through tour and activity sales. Again, they're available in almost every country around the world. And by using Homepage and StayFi, you're going to get these upsells that you can monetize in front of more guests. Now I'll talk a little about the pre-arrival guest data collection. This is the cheapest and easiest way to get started with guest data collection. The Wi-Fi tool is more expensive, and this is sold as part of our email tool. So if you are curious about collecting more guest data, but don't want to make the leap or investment into our Wi-Fi tool, this is a fantastic way to start. Essentially, what we do is through the host hub, we send a message to your guests with a link to that homepage I mentioned before, but we gate it behind a splash page that looks like this here in the middle. And this way, we're going to start collecting names and emails from the booker. And then also part of this flow, which I don't show here, is we allow that person to then also share this homepage with other guests in their reservation. And that way we'll start collecting data from the non-booking guests. Now, obviously not everyone's going to fill this out, not everyone's going to share it. So you're going to get less data, but we estimate around 2 to 10% of all guests are going to fill this out. So let's say you have 100 guests staying with you across 10 reservations, we're going to get about 2 to 10 emails. Now, of course, if we had the Wi-Fi, we'd collect, 95 to 100 emails. But this is just a great way to start collecting more data than you're getting through just HostHub without investing into our Wi-Fi tool as well, which I also recommend, but this is just a fantastic way to get started and start collecting some guest data. Now, when it comes to email marketing, it's kind of like what is it that you want to do, and how do you pick a service out there? Obviously, StayFi, we have our own email marketing tool, which I prefer, but in general, you want to figure out like what it is that you want to do with email marketing, and I think it's really important to understand how does email marketing align with what your overall marketing goals are. So, are you a company, for instance, that's highly seasonal? So maybe you have 2 seasons of the year that are summer, winter. Let's say you're in a ski destination and you have mountain biking that are always 100% book. So maybe you want to use direct marketing to increase the percentage of direct bookings during that period. But the really more important overriding goal is how do I strengthen my shoulder seasons? Because I have so many unbooked nights there. How can I educate my guests through email reasons to come back in my slow seasons so I can really improve the performance of those times of the year where I have a lot of unsold nights? Maybe you're somebody who's in a destination that has a lot of last minute travel, i.e., you're in like a drive to destination. And you may also have some number or decent number of cancellations or last minute nights you want to fill. Through the drive to destination, sending deals or information to your list about like a weekend that just opened, those can really be a great way to always sell those dates out. So email could be a great way to fill last minute openings. So you really want to look at your overall calendar, the overall rhythm of your season and your market, and see how your email marketing can kind of align with that to push your goals. Also, you need to think about the bandwidth of you and a team that you have. Are you somebody that has the time to send a monthly or every other week newsletter, or are you someone that doesn't really have the time to do that, and therefore you want to rely on automated campaigns? So there are ways, for instance, in StayFi and other tools, to set up. Every time you get a subscriber, we'll send them 12 emails over 12 months. And obviously that has to be evergreen content. It can't be seasonal specific. But if you know that's a limitation, it's good to pick a tool where you can set up a long drip campaign and then not rely on newsletters until maybe you have more capacity later. So really lean on automation, especially at the beginning to get started, because you can create a series of emails sent to everybody automatically. And that way you're not always having to go back into the tool and create new content. StayFi, the ways that we make this easy is we have one-click campaigns. So essentially in StayFi, we have basically like two parts of our email tool. One is the full service email marketing tool, very similar to if you used a MailChimp, where you can design custom templates. You can even code templates. We have a bunch of like templates that you can drag and drop different elements. But then we found that a lot of our customers, they wanted something even simpler, something where they can just literally click a few buttons and send an email. And we've done like all the design work for you. We've imported all the images from your PMS like Hosthub, and we do it all in a few seconds. So we developed a series of what we call one-click campaigns. Essentially, it's a newsletter where you click newsletter, we fill in all the content, you just change some images, change some text, and it's ready to go. So we've made it super easy to send campaigns where you can literally send them in 30 seconds to a minute, as opposed to spending 20 or 30 minutes designing a newsletter. And that's really for folks that don't have much email experience and want to send something basic to everybody. And then, of course, you can also send unlimited emails through StayFi. We're continuously importing data from Hosthub. So every time you get a real email on Hosthub, we will detect it and pull it into StayFi email. And therefore, you'll have all your data in one place to do marketing from. We have a ton of different types of one-click campaigns. Some are automated, some are newsletter-based. Automated ones are fantastic because these are the ones, like I mentioned before, you set them up, they're going to get sent to everybody automatically, and you're less dependent on sending a newsletter on a regular basis. So the first one, if you use our Wi-Fi tool, is Wi-Fi Welcome. This is an email that greets guests automatically after they connect to the Wi-Fi. That's actually what you see here on the right. What's great about this email is that if you have a guidebook, that homepage I talked about before, where you can have upsells, a link to book this property again on your website, we do all the hard work with the dynamic field. So if you look here on the right, you'll see there's a link to a guidebook. We actually look at the guidebook you've already like determined for each property in StayFi. You just fill in the links there, and then we insert them automatically in this email to be the correct one. So we have a ton of fields like this that are dynamic by property, and we do all that hard work for you to link to the right property, to link to the right guidebook, so that you can just send this email straight out and it'll be sent to every guest when they log in. And all the dynamic things that are property specific are going to be filled in for you. So it's going to send a very professional email that looks like a unique greeting to that guest for that specific property, being sent with all the right links. And we've done all the hard lifting for you to make that work pretty magically. We also do this for post departure. So you can send that email a day after, 2 day, whatever, 2 days, 3 days, whatever you'd like, letting the guests know, hey, this is why when you want to come back, you should book direct, especially if you're driving that value message like Alex showed you on the website. Hey, come back. Same experience as when you book with Airbnb, but X% cheaper. You want to re-emphasize that a few days after departure, and they might even in that moment be ready to book the next trip with you, which we see all the time. And then stay anniversary. We also have this one-click campaign where you can send an email 8 months, 9 months, 7 months, whatever your kind of like booking window is. Send an email to the guest letting them know, hey, if you're wanting to return for next year, now's the time to book before the nights sell out. And then ready to send newsletters. You can send promotions, newsletters, upcoming availability, very cool one-off newsletters. And I definitely recommend, once you get more than 500 emails in your list, to consider sending a monthly newsletter, because the ROI is really going to start paying off after that point. Then we also have SMS marketing in StayFi, very similar to email. What's great about SMS is that while it has a lower opt-in rate, it has much, much higher open rates. So 98% of SMS are going to be seen in red. And so they're a really fantastic way to send out high value information to your guests. So in StayFi, you can send general campaigns to everyone who's opted in. And then we also have similar types of welcome campaigns, rate and review campaigns, and all sorts of ways to also get that message out to your guests. So let's say you send an email about last minute availability at a property. I'd also send a text message with some call to action. And that way folks see that availability, and the chances of you booking it are going to go way, way up. I see customers, I think we show them the case study later. They always do this when they have a cancellation. They send out this text message, and that lets them fill it with one of their loyal guests they've known to stay there before, as opposed to going to an OTA like Airbnb, where you're trying to get filled this last minute night, and therefore you're lowering the price, right? So we want to sell nights before we have to go ahead and lower their price on an OTA. And that's what having this direct channel with guests is going to help enable. When it comes to doing marketing, these are just some general messaging tips I recommend. One thing is consistent defined branding. So when you think about general email newsletters, right, you want to get that into your guest inbox every month, your past guest inbox. Most of the time, the guests receive that email. They're not in trip planning mode, right? So the times of the year where you're in trip planning mode are pretty low, like in terms of the percentage. It's not many days of the year, right? What you want to make sure is that when someone is in trip planning mode, that they remember your brand and they remember the value message to go to your website and to look at the direct rate versus the OTA rate. And the way that you're going to do that is just making sure that your name is in their inbox on a regular basis, at least once a month. And that's just going to trigger that little reminder in their brain that in addition to going to Airbnb or Kayak or Booking.com, which is their normal behavior, that they're going to come to your website. And that's what that consistent billboarding is going to do in their inbox. Always try to think of a clear goal around your email newsletter. So that could be last minute availability. That's a huge one. Filling in those shoulder seasons, getting high season bookings way out. So a very cool thing I see people do is they actually will open the calendar on their direct booking website before they open it on an OTA. So they'll email their guests, hey, our most busy time of year, the summer, is now available, but you can only book it on our website this month, and then it will go to Airbnb. And that way you're getting your high quality, longer direct bookings from your loyal guests first, and then you open up to the OTAs, which maybe are a guest that you're a little more worried about because they haven't stayed with you before, right? And that's why StayFi is so powerful, is because you can fill those nights out with your loyal guests in advance before you open them up to the OTA and to the whole world. Obviously, discounts are great. I would say that there's two different discount strategies I see. One is that consistent branding that direct is always cheaper than OTAs. Other folks actually keep these rates much closer and then use discount codes in their marketing to kind of like fill that gap. So they don't give that 20% off to everybody. They maybe just make it 5%, but then they save that 10 to 15% for promo codes that then they use more strategically, right? So you don't have to give away that whole delta of the Airbnb or booking fee. You can split the difference and then use promo codes selectively to use the rest of that margin to be more strategic in your marketing. Obviously, analytics is key. Any direct booking website that you want to use, especially more advanced ones, you want to make sure that you have Google Analytics installed, but not just Google Analytics. You have e-commerce portion of Google Analytics installed. That will just let you track emails back to bookings and vice versa. If that's a little too complicated or you don't want to dive into that yet, promo codes are another really great way to just understand how your emails are performing. Because if you use a unique promo code for each email, it's so easy to do attribution. There's no like looking at Google Analytics and then seeing these bookings and you're not sure they like went from email to Google to email and the booking path is not clear or the tracking is not perfect. When you use promo codes, you always know, hey, they use this promo code, they came from this email. So the attribution and value of your email list is really easy to determine. And that's one reason why you might want to save some of that delta in rates to use the promo codes. And then finally, I would just pick a brand and voice that fits with you. So I'd say if you're a smaller operator, perhaps you have another job or you're like a family run business, don't try to appear like a Romy here on the right, which is like a corporate brand. Like lean into your personal story, show that, you, your family, whoever is running the property, show those people in the emails, make it seem more human, write emails from the first person, be like, hey, I'm so and so, I manage the blank cottage. I'd love to have you back, right? So lean into a voice and brand that makes sense for you and is authentic to who you are, because a lot of people are going to resonate with that smaller operator, kind of more like what people think of as an Airbnb host vibe, because maybe that's what they were looking for. Obviously, if you're larger, maybe lean more into the professional property manager vibe that's all about consistency and X standards, things like that, right? So just make sure that that's kind of matches in all your marketing. Now I'll just talk about just a little bit of a case study, just to kind of get you a sense of like what is possible when you start collecting guest data and marketing to guests. This is a customer. I chose them because they had 14 properties, which is kind of like a lower size property manager. I think they own a few of the properties to manage the rest. They started as an owner, then started managing. So like a very typical property manager story. They have 14 properties, highly seasonal. So this is on the lake in Michigan. So it's like a very hot summer destination, weaker shoulder seasons, pretty dead winter, may not even operate in the winter, right? Um, just starting with StayFi pretty recently, they've already collected almost 4,000 emails across those properties. And then just by consistently marketing to those guests, their direct booking rate has increased from just 10% of bookings to 30% of bookings, I think in around like 6 months, right? So they're seeing ROI right off the bat. I don't have the exact numbers here, but I'm sure if you talk to them, they know some of that increase in share did not just cannibalize Airbnb or Vrbo. They're actually selling nights that would have been unbooked otherwise or sold at a lower rate, which is one of those key benefits of just when occupancy and demand is slumping. That's where you can really turn up the marketing side with email and text and then start driving those bookings from your past guests. And of course, we see people have success of all size, whether it's people with 200 plus properties, getting now 30% of the bookings direct, or someone with one property who is now almost 100% direct because they have a loyal audience, right? So StayFi works for operators of all size, from one property to hundreds of properties. It's just a really powerful way to make sure that you're building that loyal audience. And then just over time, not only reducing your dependence on OTAs, but also increasing the resilience of your business because you're not dependent on the demand swings of these channels, right? They can change something and demand in your area could go down. They can start favoring other properties in your algorithm. You don't want the demand for your business being totally dependent on these third parties, and just having a growing list of loyal guests that want to return is what's going to make your business more resilient and more profitable in the long run. Sweet. That was it for me, Alex. I guess now we can open it for questions.
That was great, Arthur. Thank you so much. I also had a question for you, but I think you answered it with your last couple of slides. So what I wanted to ask you was, what's the average increase in direct bookings that someone should expect to see after starting to use StayFi? So I guess it's something like if you have 10% of direct bookings, you could expect that to rise to 20 or even 30%, right?
Yeah, so actually
On
on our
average.
website, what we did is we pulled a lot of data from different customers by looking at their property management software and then actually looking at all the bookings that they had and where they started. Um, so we actually have this like ROI calculator, which is like a blended average across many different customers. So you can enter your data in here, and then you actually have like a property manager not option, and you can put the fee and all that stuff. But the bulk of the revenue increase is actually from selling unsold nights, so increasing overall occupancy rate, and then the OTA feeding fee savings is number two, and then upsells is number three. So yeah, if you're curious, you can go to our website to the ROI calculator, and you could put in your info, and then we'll kind of give you the blended average that we see across different customers. And
Awesome.
you can see here. So this one is it's like based on where they started. It said like we'll increase the share of direct bookings by 6%, but we'll also increase your occupancy 1.7 percentage points. So that's kind of like how that breaks down between those two different things.
Can you share anything about the price of StayFi?
Yeah, so I'll actually share. So we actually have a offer. So I'll explain here in a second. So you can use code HOSTHUB for 3 months off StayFi. But what's also included, which you didn't write here, is basically with StayFi, we have two different products that you can buy together or separately. We have email marketing and Wi-Fi. So talk about email marketing first. This is the email marketing tool I talked about where you can send newsletters just like MailChimp and with the one-click automations and where we import the data from Hosthub. This also includes the feature where you will send a form to the booker through Hosthub in advance to collect their real email and also gives that person a chance to share with other people.
Mhm.
It's a great way to get started. When you connect Hosthub with your StayFi account, this is actually free up until your list reaches 200 contacts. So you can sign up for StayFi, let's say connect Hosthub, import 150 emails, and get started right away at no cost. And then as you add more emails and get over 200 contacts, then it charges you a monthly subscription depending on how many emails are in your database. And then the Wi-Fi collection tool is based on number of properties that you use that service in, and you can check that out here as well. It starts out at $19 a month for one, and then it goes down per property as you add more listings. So you can use the Wi-Fi and connect it with like a MailChimp and not use our email tool, or vice versa. You could use our email tool, collect data through us or other ways, or you can use both, which obviously will get you the most data.
Sounds great. Let's dive into the questions in the Q&A section. I've sorted them by most upvotes, so I'll start with the first one. Konstantinos is asking, what is the optimal time frame to launch social media advertising campaigns prior to the start of the season? So my initial take would be that, it depends on the location, basically. So, and the average booking window of that location. So there are destinations that have a large booking window. So people book, from December and January for their summer stay in a very popular tourist destination like Santorini or Mykonos, for example, in Greece. So in that case, I would suggest that you start your marketing campaigns when the booking season starts. And that could be from 6 months in popular tourist destinations, right up to a few weeks before your stay in very busy city destinations. Arthur, any feedback on that?
Yeah, I would just say like it depends, I guess, if it's paid advertising or just general posting. When it comes to like if you're just trying to build your social media audience, I really wouldn't stop just generally posting about your brand, because if you stop posting, your engagement will go to zero. And then when you start posting again, your Instagram or TikTok, it's not going to place you in anyone's feed because you have like no engagement historically. So I think when it comes to like that kind of organic if you're like in a very summer focused destination, just maintaining some level of posting when it's not even the optimal time frame. But then of course, if you're going to amplify that with paid ads, then I think then you have to really hew into what is the booking window, and that's where you really want to start hitting with advertising. That's also a time when that strategy I discussed about letting people book on your website before they put it on OTAs. I think that's kind of a great way to get started with that and just try to drive as much as you can to your website before you open it up in other platforms, and then try to drive those bookings further out in advance too, because those stays will typically be longer as well.
Thank you, Arthur. Let's go to the second question. What is the timeline for setting up a website with Hosthub? So 80% of the websites we build are ready in 2 weeks. There might be some that take a little bit longer, like 3 weeks or 4 weeks if they're very large websites with a lot of content. But in most cases, the website will be ready and delivered in 10 days or a week or 2 weeks max. So next one. What is the typical payment processing fee for guests, and how can that be rolled into the booking? So by default, the cost of the payment processing is handled by the owner of the website. So if you have your own direct booking website and it has a payment processor built in, like let's say Stripe, for example, when you charge the customer's credit card, you will get the amount minus the processing fee that Stripe charges, which is usually about 2 or 3%. So it's usually charged on the host, the property manager, and not the guest. Arthur, I'm not sure if you want to share something on that.
Yeah, no, I think that's typical. And then when you're thinking about pricing, you can keep that in mind, right? I'd say most websites and most booking engines all use Stripe.
Yeah. Next question. Do you have an SMS feature to text old guests, and for how long is guest data maintained? Arthur, you want to take this one?
So we don't have an SMS because SMS is so much more highly regulated. We only allow you to text numbers that you collect through StayFi that the guest has affirmatively opted in to receive SMS messaging from you for marketing purposes. So you can't text old guest. For how long is guest data maintained? Yeah. So this is more of a question of like, do you use a property management software, and has that property management software tried to collect real emails from guests or not? which is going to be an open question. So if all you've done is use Airbnb, you're going to be starting from zero because Airbnb doesn't really share any real emails with you anyways. So that's probably a great reason to adopt a tool like Hosthub, because you want to have a more robust record of all of your guests, as well as diversified channels. And some of those channels will provide real emails, or maybe in the course of working with a guest, you will get the real email in Hosthub. And then, of course, we will take all that data and pull it into StayFi. So I think the first thing is making sure you have a good PMS that's keeping good records in terms of all your reservations, not being just a solo Airbnb user. From that, we can probably extract some marketing data. But the real key thing is having a strategy, whether it's the forms or the Wi-Fi, to start collecting that data going forward. Because like you said before, it's very hard to go back in time and collect that information. If you do have it written down manually when it comes to emails, we do let you import CSVs of emails, unlike phone numbers. So if you do have lists of emails, I guess, have to share with you over time that you've collected, you can upload those emails into StayFi.
Thank you very much, Arthur. Next question. How about Google Sites? Can a booking engine or PayPal payments adapt? I'm not actually sure. I haven't used Google Sites for a long time. So I'm not sure. Arthur, have you built a Google site recently?
No,
I'm not even
I'd
sure
say
this product
I don't
still
think it exists
exists.
anymore.
Yeah. It used to exist like 10 years ago. I'm not sure if Google Sites exist anymore. But anyway, sorry we can't answer that, Kostas. Um, do potential clients have the ability to opt out of the emails or newsletter? Arthur, this one's for you.
Yeah, for sure. So on the splash page, our typical default setting is there is, of course, a checkbox to opt in for email marketing. We pre-check it. You can adjust that setting in StayFi to have it be an affirmative opt-in. So at the splash page, they can opt out. And then, of course, in every email, we legally, and as we should, we have always an unsubscribe link inserted in every single email that you send through our system, so guests can always opt out of emails.
Okay, I think we have time for a few more questions. Bob asks, are you using a commercial backend or is it something you developed?
I don't
I'm
know. I don't know
yeah,
what it's
I'm guessing
referencing
he's
to.
asking about StayFi, but I'm not sure. Bob, if you can
Yeah,
tell us in the chat, well, are you asking about Hosthub or StayFi? But in any case, I can tell you about Hosthub. It's all custom developed. We started out in 2018. We built the channel management part first. We're connecting with the APIs of Airbnb, Booking, Verbo, HomeAway back then, which was then integrated with Verbo. And then we started building all the PMS features like automated messaging, unified inbox. We have an AI assistant that can automatically answer your guest, and it's awesome. You should try it out. And I think this is a good segue for me to just tell anyone here that is not using Hosthub or they haven't seen Hosthub in operation, just go to our website, book a demo, and we'll be happy to show you how Hosthub works and how it can help you manage your bookings more efficiently and attract more customers.
yeah, for
Arthur, you can also
StayFi.
ask this question on your behalf.
Yeah, for StayFi. I mean, it's all software we developed. When it comes to the email marketing tool, just like for text marketing, we use Twilio to just like our texting provider. And then for the email marketing tool, the backend's all from a company called Campaign Monitor, but the front end in terms of how we build the templates in a way that works for vacation rentals is our own, as well as like how we dynamically combine all the data and then insert it into emails, right? So it's kind of like that one's a little bit of a combo of an existing email tool and then a bunch of custom stuff built on top of it to make it very vacation rental specific. But yeah, so I know it's a bit of
And
a
for those that
interesting
might,
answer.
yeah,
Yeah.
for those that might not know, Campaign Monitor is one of the most reputable backend email providers out there. So I'm sure the deliverability is top notch and best in
It's
class.
super. And the other thing about it is that we actually give you the same services you would get if you went to them directly, but cheaper, plus all the stuff that we added on. So we actually charge less than they do for the exact same email account. So you get a discounted account.
Arthur, the Scott is asking, can StayFi integrate with Hospitable to include info in the welcome guide that is sent out by Hospitable?
I'm not familiar with the welcome guide sent out by Hospitable. So I'm not exactly sure what this question is asking. If the welcome guide is a static website, like a URL that's unique for each property, you can place that in like our homepage or in an email, and it will be custom for each guest you send it to when they log in. If the welcome guide is something that you want to insert a link to like StayFi's homepage within, you can also do that. So not exactly sure what the question is, but yeah, just like Hosthub, we have a deep integration with Hospitable. So you probably can do what you're asking, is my guess.
Great. Is it possible to retroactively pull email data from previous bookings?
Yes, so when you connect a Hosthub or just about any other PMS to StayFi, you will have the option to insert historical guest data from your bookings. You can pick how far you want to go, and then we will automatically go through all your historical bookings in Hosthub, and we will find everyone that has a real email and import those. So not the proxy emails, not the weird Airbnb emails, just the real emails. And then also we not only pull that in, we pull in the property they stayed in, the dates they were there. If they have a future booking, we also pull that in. So you can like filter out people with future bookings. And then that data also is updated live. So every time you get a new booking, we also add it. So yes, we'll do the hard work of grabbing all that data. And then also there's all this other interesting merge fields and other data you can filter by that's included in that information.
Arthur, how much time do we have? How many questions more do you think we can take?
We can answer the rest of these. These are pretty simple.
Okay, great. So the
Do you
next
want
one
me to just
is,
run through these quickly? Because I
yeah.
have two questions on cost. Just go to stayfi.com/pricing. Like I mentioned for the email tool, it's actually free up to 200 contacts once you connect HostHub or another PMS. Someone asked, how do you add the software to collect the emails with the Wi-Fi? So when it comes to our Wi-Fi service, we work with two types of devices. One's called Ubiquiti Unify, the other is called Ruckus. The Ubiquiti Unify equipment we actually sell through our website if you're in the United States or Canada. So you can go and purchase the devices there. They plug into your router, they broadcast that guest network and let you collect data from everybody. If you're not in the United States, we can direct you to another place to buy that same hardware and to set it up. So you can go to stayfi.com/demo and book a demo with our team, and they can walk you through the Wi-Fi setup process. Someone asked, I tried connecting my property to StayFi, but required my access points. So Jamil, if you do not want to use the Wi-Fi marketing tool, you do not need to buy the access points. You can just proceed to email marketing and the pre-stay collection and just ignore the access point purchasing. So like in the setup process, just assumes that you're going to use the Wi-Fi service. But if you don't want to, then you can just proceed and just use email marketing and pre-stay collection without it. If you have questions about that, you can email support@stayfi.com. Oh, someone said the welcome guys integrate for TouchStay. Yeah, so TouchStay are static links. So you can associate a TouchStay guide with each property in StayFi, and then you can text out a dynamic link to that property in an email, text message, or in your homepage. So those things can be linked together very easily and then used in any marketing. Someone asked how many clients does StayFi have? We have somewhere between 3,500 and 4,000 vacation rental operators of all sizes that use StayFi.
Great. One more question just popped up. You mentioned Google Maps. How can I place my hotel availability in there? So you just, if you Google vacation rentals, it will take you to a Google page where you can add the details of your property, even if it's a hotel or a vacation rental. And it will ask you for a few details, like a few photos and the location and stuff like that. Then I think they also send you like a printed letter with a code that you have to receive at that address and something like that. And then it will be posted into the Google Maps with under the category of vacation rentals. I think I remember this correctly, right, Arthur? That's the process?
Yes, they just want to verify you're real and your address is
Yeah.
real. They do the postcard thing.
Okay, great. So thank you everyone for joining us today. I think it was very interesting. And I think you should all look into direct bookings as deep as possible, because it's, probably the best way to increase your revenue and attract your own customer base and build your own brand. Thank you, Arthur, so much for joining us today and sharing these very interesting details about how StayFi works and how it can help property managers and owners alike attract direct bookings. Let me just remind the website, it's stayfi.com. You can see more about StayFi on their website and also pricing and other stuff. And for Hosthub, just visit hosthub.com. You can either start your free trial, you have a 14-day free trial, or just book a demo, pick a date and the time you like, and we can have a 30-minute Zoom demo to show you how Hosthub works. Sofia, Alkistis, thank you so much for helping us out today and organizing
Thank you
this.
very much.
And hope to see all of you soon, on our websites.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Have a great night,
Thank
everyone.
you. Have a
Bye-bye.
great night.